I think what stood out to me the most from this inquiry is just how many Victorians are impacted by high control groups. There are a number of high control groups in Victoria, and we heard from hundreds of people throughout the inquiry who've been impacted by them, whether it was their own experiences of being a member or the experiences of their friends and family members.
We know that this inquiry commenced with a group of people with lived experience coming to tell their story, which then progressed onto being this inquiry that we're doing now. So lived experience is of the utmost importance for me in this, and that's become very clear during the inquiry, and the evidence that we heard from people with lived experience and the valuable input that they've had, which will be taken into consideration in terms of the recommendations.
One thing that really struck me right at the start was the number of people who came forward that had actually grown up in these coercive high control groups. It wasn't something that we'd really thought about, because you often think of people being recruited in rather than growing up, and they had experiences and stories that were pretty scary, and that really stood out for me.
One thing I've noticed in the inquiry from groups that have caused harm in the past is that a lot of their kids still go to state schools. And in our state schools, we have a lot of great programs around respectful relationships. But in that program itself, there's a lot of opportunity to move beyond just the family-based relationships or the intimate partner-based relationships and look more at that group-based coercive control that this inquiry's been looking into so deeply.
There was a real theme around financial transparency that stood out to me, and why some of these high control groups were actually exempt from ACNC reporting.
Throughout the inquiry, we learnt that anyone can be targeted by high control groups and be vulnerable to the lasting harms that they can cause.
A lot of young people starting university are quite vulnerable. They're in a new stage in their life and looking to make friends and fit in a new environment. And we heard from universities evidence to suggest that there were targeted campaigns of these students to recruit them, and particularly of international students, young people from overseas, not having family or friends around them and really making an effort to fit in. They were targeted.
The committee's final report has 2 volumes. Volume 1, Crossing the Line, looks at how coercive high control groups can attract, influence and harm people, and outlines the committee's recommendations to the government. Volume 2, in their words, shares the lived experiences of people who have been directly affected. Together, the 2 volumes help build our understanding of coercive high control groups and their impacts.
The committee is really proud of our work on this report, and we want to thank everyone who shared their own experiences. We hope it helps you heal, and we hope it helps prevent further harm. This is a complex issue, and it's going to require a whole of government response.